Hey guys, it's Madison. Thanks for joining me in this faithful home. I'm really excited for today's video because I'm going to be walking you through the steps it took me to build my very own compost pile. I am so excited because start to finish this project only cost me like $20, and I was able to reuse some old supplies and some supplies that I had on hand. And I think that really kind of goes with the whole composting being sustainable, reusable, better for the earth. And so I'm really excited to show you guys what I did. So I'm definitely not an expert when it comes to composting. I have done plenty of research, and by that I mean I've watched a lot of other YouTube videos and done a lot of Pinterest searching. So I'm pretty well versed in the knowledge of composting, if I do say so myself. But really, I'm not. I just kind of looked up a bunch of things online, and here we are. We are going with it. This is all new to me, so we're just gonna kind of see what happens. The first thing that I had to do was decide where I was gonna put my compost, and so I decided to put it next to the shed, as you can see here. I made sure to clear out enough space on the ground and get all the weeds and everything out of the way. It is really nice that I picked this area because this is where we put a lot of our leaves when we rake the leaves in the fall. And so we already have a lot of dried brown leaves and twigs and stuff, and so it's already ready for me to compost. But now I just kind of have to clear out an area. One of the things that I had to think about with making a compost was what kind of bin I was going to use. And now I'm not going to go into any details on compost buckets or like community compost because that's obviously not what I did here. But there are a lot of other options based on where you live. So I do live in a city, but I have a half an acre of property, so I still felt that it was okay to have big exposed open compost bins. And so that's what I decided to do. And my brother actually was super kind and brought over a bunch of pallets from his work. And that's what I'm using in today's video. That's how I'm going to be building the compost system that you see here. Originally, we were thinking that we were going to use the pallets for a different project, but then once I saw them all at the house, I knew that I was going to use them for a compost system. So basically, building the compost system was as easy as standing up all of the pallets and then screwing them together with some wood screws. And then I added like a wood topper to the top and like screwed it into each of the slats. Pretty much I ghetto rigged it, if you want to say really what it is, but it works. It's all put together, it's all secured, it's not going anywhere, so I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. Now, a little bit of backstory on composting. If you aren't familiar of what composting is or what it is used for, it's basically a mix of two different elements, which are nitrogen-rich materials and carbon-rich materials. The greens are comprised of things such as fresh grass clippings, your fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, teas, flowers, that kind of sort of things. And then the browns are going to be things comprised of dried leaves, sticks, tree branches, compostable cardboard, newspaper, sawdust, eggshells, that sort of thing. So you can think of the things that give oxygen and give life, and the things that balance them out and are neutral to make this beautiful blend of a compost. That is pretty cool because composting is really a science, and it's kind of been fun to do my research and to figure out how composting works, what's the right ratio and everything. And so we're just gonna kind of start out and see what happens. I did also want to add some chicken wire here to the pallets, so that way, one, animals couldn't get into the compost as easily, and two, it kind of keeps it all contained from falling out of the pallets. So as you can see here, I bought chicken wire from Lowe's and I spent like $18 on the roll. It was a 3-foot by 25-foot roll, and it fit almost perfectly. I think I had like 5 feet left in the roll, but I was able to take a staple gun and pretty much staple the crap out of the wire and just attached it to all the pallets and made sure everything was nice and lined. Now, another thing that I probably will do in the future, I just haven't kind of gotten there yet, is I will be taking maybe like a tarp and making a cover, or I'll insert a picture here of the little board that I made to go up against it, but we want something so that like critters don't get into it. In theory, if you are making a compost and it is the right balance of browns and greens, it won't smell like you may have like a preconceived notion of composting equals smelling bad, rotting foods. Now, if you have the right combination of everything, it won't smell and it won't attract bad, like animals and stuff. But this is also a trial and error, so I don't want to risk it. So I will be putting up like a board and then getting either more netting or maybe a tarp to go over the top. I haven't decided yet because I kind of just wanted to make it and see what happened first. I think this is like a really cool opportunity to share and inform with you guys just one more way that you can think about being resourceful, because the reason I want to make this compost is for a couple things. One is I want to build a garden, and I have plans in the future to build some raised flower beds, and they're going to go like near the compost over on that side of the house or the yard or whatever. And so compost soil, when it's processed and churned and it has gone through the composting process, creates the best soil for your vegetable and fruit garden. Like, it is far beyond anything you could buy at the store because it is at its purest form the richest soil. And so I'm really excited, one, to be able to make a compost pile and to work on it now and to slowly churn and develop these composts, to then be able to in turn make soil. That way, once I do build my garden, I will have fresh and amazing soil to produce the best fruits and vegetables. Another reason why composting is really important is because it saves a lot of the scraps from going into the landfills. Now, I know I've said this before on this channel, I'm not super like eco-friendly, or like, yeah, I definitely have been called a hippie before, but that's probably more of a joke. But nonetheless, when you put those scraps and everything that I'll be throwing in the compost into the trash can, yeah, those foods are biodegradable, they're compostable materials, but when they're in a trash bag and then they get put in the landfill, they don't have the proper oxygen and nitrogen combo to actually decompose, and so therefore it just sits in the landfill and waste. When you could take your scraps and make perfectly good soil for free, or they could sit in the dump. So those are a couple reasons why I'm excited to start composting, more so for my garden, but also it does help the environment a little bit, and that's pretty cool too. So one thing that I had started doing a couple weeks ago was, as you can see here, I have some food scraps in the freezer. Now, this is a tip for you guys. If you are not able to go throw your scraps into the compost, say at your house, a community compost, or a friend that composts, if you're not able to bring it to them right away, one great tip is to actually put those scraps in the freezer, because this will prevent them from rotting until you can bring it to them. So this is what I did here. I had a Tupperware, and then when some friends came over and we made some dinner, I put their scraps in a bowl. And then when I was ready to put them in the compost, I carried them out and put them in there. Now, obviously they'll have to like thaw first before they can properly start decomposing, but it preserves them from stinking up the house before bringing them into a proper ratio of a compost pile. Don't know if I have really anything else to say about composting yet, because this, like I said earlier, is the first time I am doing it. Yes, I've done some research, so I know just a little bit about composting, but I don't know much. So I'm going to continue to research and probably make more videos for you guys. That way I can share some tips and tricks on how to compost and eventually rolling it into how to start a garden. Super excited, guys. I've got my own compost bin. And I'm really excited to keep you guys updated on this process and kind of how I'm going to be utilizing a compost bin just in our home, and eventually going to make a garden. I know I probably talked about that earlier in this video, but I am super excited that I finally was able to build this compost. If you guys enjoyed this gardening and composting video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you want to see more videos about me working out in the yard, gardening, composting, anything of that sort. Let me know down in the comments below and give it a thumbs up like I said. That way I know I can make more of these videos. If you're new to my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button so that you feel welcomed into this faithful home with me. Check back every Wednesday and Saturday at 3 p.m. for a new video, and I will see you guys really soon. Bye, guys.